Hi everyone, and welcome back. I thought it would be good for me to take a moment to check in with you to see how you're doing. I myself am going through all of the emotions of this roller coaster ride we are on. Yesterday, I must say, I was feeling very upbeat and happy. I see that there are a lot of people out there who are taking a stand to protect our rights and to speak up for what they feel is right, and that gives me hope, and I hope it gives you hope as well. I was also happy to see that a certain someone's company profits were down by 71%. Yeah, you know what? I am happy about that because this person is doing everything he can to make life difficult for us here in the US. So I'm not cheering for him. And another thing that I thought was very positive as well is that the person who's supposed to be leading this country, this person who spends most of his time on the golf course at our expense, his polls are also down. So you know what? I'm celebrating that. So anyway, I was very happy yesterday, and I continue to feel happy today, but I'm also today feeling very tired. There's a lot on the go and a lot going on, and a lot that continues to really concern me and frustrate me, and at times, I won't lie, it also infuriates me because the atrocities are that's what they are, atrocities. I can't believe people are being treated the way they are. I can't believe people are being sent out of the country into prisons, and they're being sent there without due process, without ever having had a chance to prove whether or not they actually did anything wrong. And to me, there's something very wrong with that. So today I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling frustrated, and I'm feeling angry. I won't lie. That's not an emotion that is often allowed, especially for women. We're not allowed to be angry. We're supposed to be sugar and spice and everything nice. Yeah, I wonder who came up with that expression. Because you know what? We have just as much right to feel anger when our boundaries are being crossed. And let me tell you, here in this country right now, our boundaries are being crossed every single day. So yeah, I'm feeling angry. And I know this is probably not what most of you, or some of you I should say, because a lot of you actually feel the way I do. Some of you may not want to be hearing me speak this way, and I would apologize, except I don't feel sorry for feeling the way I feel. I feel I have every right to feel the way I feel, and that's why it's important for me to speak up the way I'm doing right now. And I'm going to continue to do so. And I hope that if you're feeling the way I'm feeling out there, that you're also going to do the same thing, that you're going to take a stand for what you feel is right. And you're going to get out there and you're going to rally, you're going to call your representatives, and you're going to make sure your voice is heard, because your voice matters. My voice matters and your voice matters. And it's important that we don't forget that, especially right now. On another note, I wanted to also make the time to send lots and lots of love and gratitude to our Canadian friends across the border. Damien Garu and I were there not last week, but the week before, for a vacation in Nova Scotia. And I want to extend my gratitude because while we were there, in true Canadian form, Canadians showed up for us. They showed us kindness, they showed us support, And they gave us nothing but the warmest of welcomes everywhere we went. And so I want to say a huge thank you for that, because I know you don't owe us anything, but your support, your kindness, and love are much appreciated. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for showing up here. Thank you for welcoming us when I'm sure it's not always easy to see Americans crossing the border, especially after the way our government is treating you and our other allies. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't make sense to most of us out here as well. And I want you to know that. So thank you. I really do feel that it's important for us to keep showing up for each other, and I know you're showing up for us, and we're going to do everything we can to keep showing up for you as well. Whew. So this week's painting process, because it was a bit of a challenge for me to get painting this week, I won't lie. I was really feeling more called to be out there doing other things that I feel are more pressing, but I also wanted to show up for you. And I also felt that it was important for me to show up for myself and do something that brings calm into my life, and that is painting. And so I started my process this week really with the idea that I was going to work on a neurographic piece, and then it shifted. That's not uncommon for me. I kind of go with the flow and let whatever's happening on paper be what helps me make the next decision. And so I started by doing something different that I'd never tried before. And once the first layer of paint had dried, instead of creating neurographic art, I decided that the background would be really great for a geologic abstract. And so that's where I went. So if you're feeling up for it and you'd love to grab your paint supplies and join me to paint, I would really love to have you join me. If you feel like you just need to sit back and chill and watch me paint, you're always welcome to do that as well. I think it's good for us to make these moments to relax. And that's it. During the rest of this painting process, I really am just going to focus on painting and releasing the energy that's inside me onto paper by creating something I think actually turned out to be quite beautiful. And I hope you will enjoy watching this process, or that you will enjoy painting along with me. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with me. I am sending you lots and lots of love, and let's get going with our painting process.
Here's something I found on Substack yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you because it really reflects exactly what I was talking about earlier. And again, so much gratitude to our Canadian friends across the border. I mentioned that I started my process a little bit differently than I usually start it this week. And so the first thing I did is I pulled out my mop brush and I wet the entire surface of the paper before moving on to adding my color. And you may have noticed that I have some little foam circular dabbers to the right of my paint palette, and that's how I'm going to start by applying my paint. So I'm going to work with a few different colors. I have a phthalo blue, a turquoise. I'm also going to work with some burnt orange and a sap green. And I'm just going to use the little stampers to the right of my palette to stamp some of that color onto my paper. And when I'm done doing that, I will apply some salt and then I'll let it dry. There really is no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing other than the fact that I am simply trying to cover the whole background of my paper. And I am using these little sponges, and they are specifically called spouncers. I'll write it down in my video description so you know what they're called. But they're basically these little sponges that are cut into circles, and I'm using them to cover the whole entire surface. I'm trying to spread the different colors that I have in my palette so that I cover the whole entire surface. And again, when I first started, I was thinking maybe I could use whatever effects were created to create some neurographic art. But once everything dried, and I think you'll agree with me when you see it, it really jumped out at me that I probably should be creating some a geologic abstract, because the background turned out to be so interesting to me, and I thought it was perfect for a geologic abstract. And I'll let you judge for yourself what you think, but I think it was the right way to go. I'm applying fine grain table salt to most of the surface of my paper, but you'll notice that there are a couple of little areas where there seems to be a little pooling of water and color in some of the areas. And what I'm going to do for those areas is I'm going to pull out my coarser grain salt, and I'm going to sprinkle some of that in those places, because coarse grain salt tends to leave some different marks, and it tends to work better when there's a lot of water on the paper. And so in these areas, I'll simply add some of that coarse grain salt. I don't know exactly what shape my geologic abstract is going to take just yet. So whatever I decide to pull out with my pencil when everything is dry is whatever will show up. And if some of the marks that are left by the salt are covered later on, I'm choosing to be okay with this. That's why I love to paint intuitively. Every step is decided as I go along, and there is no set plan. And when I paint this way, when I afford myself the flexibility to change things as I go along, I find the process more freeing and relaxing. I decided to go with a little bit more of a subtle gold called gold pearl instead of my usual favorite star gold because I felt like there was already enough yellow tones in the painting. And in hindsight, maybe the star gold would have been better because I think it would have stood out a little bit more. Still, I really do like the gold pearl, and I love how those touches of gold add some sparkle and just enough shine to the painting to make it look even more interesting. Even though it was a really big challenge for me to get going on this process this week, I'm really happy I did. And I'm really happy also that I tried something new that led me to discovering a new way of creating my backgrounds because I really do feel like this created something even more interesting than what I've been able to create in the past, and I can definitely see myself doing it again. When you're in a funk and having a hard time finding that oomph to create, what type of projects do you like to turn to get things going? Sometimes I know cooking, which is something that's also creative but very different than what I usually do, can help me do that. Or, usually neurographic art is the way to go. But this week I'm happy I created a geologic abstract. Thank you again for making the time to join me on my creative journey. I hope you have a great week, sweet friends, and I'll be thinking of you. And don't forget, make some time for creativity. It really does help.